Hello, welcome to my channel. I had first success propagating African violet from a blossom stem and I wanted to share it with you today. I used this violet and I took a blossom stem from it when I was repotting it last time. And I was repotting it because I purchased it, and when I brought it home I knew that it's a good idea to disbud the plant before repotting it. So I removed all the blossom stems from it. And I also took a leaf from it to experiment and to compare leaf propagation versus blossom stem propagation. And these are the results. I planted both the leaf and the blossom stem 2 months ago. Today is the 20th of May and I planted them on the 21st of March. And you can see the results. And they're planted in the same medium, a mixture of peat moss and perlite 50-50. And this is the babies that grew from the blossom stem, and you still see the blossom stem remaining here. It's kind of dried out, but it's still there. So I will show you, so you see that these babies from the blossom stem are slightly larger than the babies that came out from the leaf. So I think it's a good idea using blossom stems for African violet propagation, and I'll tell you exactly how I did it. So let's remove the leaf and I will show you exactly what I did. So this particular variety, the Yellowstone variety, it has very strong blossom stems, and they have leaflets here at the very bottom joint of all the bloom stems that come out from a single stem from the main stem. It has those leaflets. So cutting the blossom stem for propagation, you need to either just break it out from the plant, and I'll show you how I did it using the different variety we will work with today. But basically, just to give you the idea of what a blossom stem looks like and what the main stem looks like and what the leaflets and look like and the secondary stems or the actual bloom stems look like. So let's put it aside. We will work today with Sister Secrets, and it was blooming also very profusely, and I looked at the blossom stalks there and I'm like, well, I really want to try this one as well, since I had been successful with the Yellowstone propagation. So these are also very powerful, very strong blossom stalks here. So it's a good idea when you use a blossom stem for propagation of an African violet, you need to make sure that it still has some blooms on it. It means that it's still live and it's not dried out. This way you will get a viable material for propagation using a bloom stalk. On this one, for example, some of the blossoms have been already spent and it's starting to dry out here. You can see drying out the secondary stems. So that probably would not be a good candidate, but we could try it as well, and I could experiment with it and then let you know how it goes. So this one we're gonna remove just by trying to remove it, yeah, just like that. Some people say that when you just break it off instead of cutting it off, that particular place has the increased level of the growth hormone because it wants to propagate. So these are really nice leaflets here. Even though some of the flowers had been already spent and dried out, I think it might still be viable. So let's use this one, and we will also use another one that still has the blossoms on it. This plant is due to repotting, so I will be definitely disbudding it and removing all of the flowers from it so that it can focus on adjusting to the new soil when I repot it. This one doesn't want to come off. How about this one? This one is very strong. I'm trying not to damage the leaves. Yeah, this one probably not a good idea because the leaflet broke from this one as I was removing it. But this one has still 2 leaflets on each side of the lower joint. So let's use this one as well. And let's try if we can remove it here. Yeah, this one doesn't want to come off. Oh yeah, it did. All right, so here we go. So this one still has some live blossoms on it. Right there. And the leaflets on each side. So obviously when you propagate by bloom stock, you need to pinch off the blooms because they're going to be taking the energy off of the stalk, and we need the stalk to focus all of its energy and resources on forming the roots rather than supporting the blossoms. So we got 3 nice bloom stalks here, and each of them will have to go in its own pot because you need to treat them just like you would treat leaves when propagating by a leaf. So you plant 1 leaf into a small pot. For planting, I use, well, first let's cut the stalks at the length needed to propagate. So we need to cut them in a way that they would go into the soil under at this place, at this joint. This is where the roots will form, at the leaflets level. So this doesn't need to be long, too long, because it's gonna start rotting. Just like when you plant a very, very long stemmed leaf, it's recommended that you cut the leaf at the level of about 1 inch long. Cut the stem. So the same, we will treat this the same way, and we will need a sharp instrument to cut it. And I'm just using the regular blade, and just cut it at the angle. I cut these at the angle just like I cut leaves for propagation at a 45-degree angle, like that. Let me show you. Yep, and then wait for the cut to dry out a little bit. So wait maybe for 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, and then we're gonna cut the next one. And the next one. All right, so these are approximately cut at maybe 1 inch under the leaflets. Violet Barn recommends cutting the blossom stems about 1/4 inch long under the main joint. So these are actually a little bit too long. Let's cut them a little more. Yes, about like this. Mine is more like 1/2 inch, but 1/4 inch is a little short for me. I want the stem to be snug in the soil when I pot it. All right, so, and when it's too short, it's at the risk of falling out of the soil. At least that's how it is with me. Let's wait for them to dry out, and in the meantime you will prepare the 3-ounce cups and put the name and the date when you're planting the blossom stems. And the potting mixture is half perlite, half peat moss. And the cups, I usually make 2 slits here with the scissors to make sure that the moisture gets released and there's no root rot when these blossom stems form roots. So here we go. So we're ready to plant now. You need to, of course, let the blossom stems dry out and heal a little bit. And by the time when they're dry, it doesn't take too long. It takes maybe 5-10 minutes. Let me show you here. This is what we look like. So then you just plant them at an angle, just like you would do with a leaf. And make sure that you plant them all the way to the leaflets level. And this is where the new baby violets will start coming out from. And of course then you need to water. Don't water too much, just a few drops will be enough to get the action going. These are plastic cups. I'll show you the packaging. These are the cups that I get. Just regular bath plastic cups, 3 ounce. And so once you watered it, you put it in either a dome, under the dome, or you put it in a plastic pot, a plastic bag, just like I did with this one. This one was in a plastic bag. Yes, let me show you the leaflets. These were the leaflets actually, and see how they've grown too. They were not as big. So these were the leaflets from the blossom stem from this violet. And so I planted at the level of these leaflets, and then the babies came out from the main joint. So as far as plastic bags, I just use regular sandwich plastic bags, and they're Ziploc bags, and I just usually just put it either together with a ceramic container, or to make it like sturdy and make it not flip, or you just put it like this and zip it. And this is how I just keep mine. And you keep it under the regular light, maybe a little lower light than your main African violet plants. And in about 2 months, you'll have new babies coming out from the blossom stem. So that's how I propagate my African violets using blossom stems. I hope you found this video helpful. And I will keep updating you on other techniques that I learned about African violet propagation. Stay tuned.